Welcome to the Convo Lounge with your host, Amir Anthony.
Char Rochelle.
Antonio Crow.
So the Convo Lounge is the home of real conversations from the perspectives of people that are passionate about sports, fashion, art, culture, and life. So what are we going to chop it up about today, y'all?
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Yeah, that's really popular nowadays. Black Lives Matter. Everybody talking about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But do they really matter though?
My Black Lives Matter.
Yes. I know mine does, and my brother and my sister and my mom, my dad, my cousins, all y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been black all our life.
Exactly. So the issue is not do Black Lives Matter. Like we know that Black Lives Matter. However, there are certain demographics of people who don't believe that Black Lives Matter. And that's what we need to discuss today. So before we get to that point though, like I just want to check in with everybody's mental state. Like, how are y'all feeling with everything that's going on right now?
I had a moment yesterday, and I finally had a chance to break through on something that's been heavy, like feeling heavy in my chest. And I went through the whole week at work, coming off of the heels of my birthday. Thank you, God, for allowing me to see another solar return. But when I was going through the work week, I was kind of off on my agenda. So the last few days, our institution has been sending a lot of emails of solidarity and support and how we can do better as an institution. And being that I'm a Black man and there's not quite a lot of us there on campus, I finally had a chance to tell my team what I really felt and what I really been going through the last few days, the last few weeks, since this whole pandemic has been going on. And the whole thing is that for the first few months, we were just focused on the pandemic and getting through that. And then now it's like this happens and the world is on notice. So I share with them, it's been real tough on me. I think about not only other Black men, but I think of Black men that I see on a regular and that I talk to on a regular. You know, I thought about Antonio. I thought about my brother. I thought about my father. I thought about my cousins, you know, that are raising families, my friends. And I told them, I was like, listen, you know, you all may not know what it's like to be in my shoes, but I can tell you right now it's been tough. There's a certain mindset that I have to have when I walk out the door. There's a certain type of awareness that I need to have when I get in my car. The way that you prepare for your day is totally different than the way I prepare for mine. And I had to make it very clear that it's been very tough on me. And the last few days, it has been hard for me to work in the space that I work on, where I have to contribute on a daily basis to help others that are in a position to make a better opportunity for themselves and push themselves in a way that they need to go through. So when you're calling and checking in on people, I need the same thing. And it was tough. And I had tears come out of my eyes when I was telling them. And I'm glad that I had that moment. And the reception that I received was phenomenal because it was a moment of vulnerability. So that's just how I feel. And I feel better. Yeah. I feel good. I needed that because I put up this wall of I'm Black man and I can get through this. But no, there are things that Black men need to make sure that they're releasing so that it's not bottled up and it becomes anger.
For sure. I feel you. I mean, the reason why our show recording was delayed was because last week I could not be present. You know, I needed to take some time to really shut down. Like I powered off my phone. I couldn't take any information. I didn't watch the video, the George Floyd video. I had to come off of social media. As an empath, it was all too much. And I feel like as Black people, we have to be very cognizant of how we can re-traumatize ourselves when we're talking about some of these issues or watching some of these videos. It's not healthy for the mental psyche whatsoever. And even the conversations that we have with each other amongst our peers, sometimes that's trauma bonding, and that's not positive either. Ooh, excuse me. So I had to take a break last week and just like get my mind back right. in some healthy way or fashion.
So yeah, I kind of have been feeling like similar to you all in the sense that my experience with like the visual of what's happening right now, how it affects me directly, like as if um Mr. Floyd is a family member to me, right? Even though he's far removed, as far as demographically, he's far removed. Not, he's not someone that I know. His experience could potentially happen to anyone that's directly around me. It could happen to me. It could happen to both of you all. And this is happening too frequently. It's too frequently, and for the fact that we're in an epidemic, a pandemic, and so everyone is on a heightened alert because of the health issues in the world. Then we have these social issues in the world at the same time, and so we're getting hit from all sides. We're getting hit from all sides of
Yes.
of of our lives. Like we're hit. And so how do you thrive in such a time when you see the people that have signed up to protect and serve, to feel the authority, to have that authority to end someone's life. You see a process of the pandemic where people are unable to matriculate through businesses like we used to. We're unable to go out. We're unable to see friends that we haven't seen in a long time, that we see frequently because of social distancing. I mean, it just really like kind of like incarcerated us in a
For
sense.
sure. To your point, Antonio, I don't think this is the season to thrive, to be honest with you. I think this is the season for Black Americans to like really sit still and heal. We have
Yes.
like intergenerational trauma, centuries of intergenerational trauma that we need to heal from as individuals and as a
Yeah.
community. I
Right.
think that
Right.
we need to stop focusing on thriving, and we need to figure out how we are going to heal as a people and how we are going to build our community and
Yes.
stop looking for handouts from
Yes.
our white counterparts. Like it's just not the season to thrive. We gotta slow down. And I think that the universe, I call the creator God. It's God for me. He's giving us this opportunity to really focus on what's important, and it's healing. Like sometimes when you rebuild, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but a system has to break down in order for you to rebuild it, and that's what's happening right now between COVID,
Yes.
racial injustice. Like this is our wake up call as a people to
Yes.
get our shit together, and we need to answer it the right way.
Right.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I think this is time to really reflect. This whole year from the beginning, from the start, has this been an emotional roller coaster. We remember where we were when the great Kobe Bryant was tragically killed in when the helicopter crashed with the other individuals. And then we just go right into something that we've never been through before. No one in our lifetime has gone through what we're going through right now. And it has hit on so many levels to where it's also still affecting us.
Yep.
And that's the part that haunts. And it's definitely time to change the way we think, change the way that we react, change the way that we treat others that don't look like us, and also those that do look like us. I think solidarity is the main thing. I think cohesiveness is the thing. And also conversations. Having conversations with people that don't look like us and don't understand, to say, you know what, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And I want to take the time to apologize with all the things that have been going on. And you're seeing that happen. You're seeing a lot of allies who are our white counterparts saying that they want to move forward. And that's, people got to remember, the civil rights era had that movement. There was that moment of cohesiveness and allies that didn't come from the Black community that helped push the agenda. that were religious leaders, entertainers of all walks of life. And you're seeing that now. And I feel like this is the time for things to change. But I definitely agree, this is a moment for healing. But, you know, moving forward, let me ask you all this, because this is an organization, I know Antonio and I have had conversations. Do Black Lives really matter? And does Black Lives Matter, the organization, do we feel that that is the organization that's going to push the things that need to happen in this country? Or do we need more? Do we need more allies from the Black community to push the agenda of Black lives and making social change in America?
I am really taken aback to when we had the civil rights movement and you had the Black Panthers movement and you had the Nation of Islam. There was three movements kind of going on at one time. With the Black Panthers movement, they kind of made them villains, made them a threat to the United States, unfortunately, and that never should have happened. With the civil rights movement, you did get a lot of buy-in from our peaceful people, if you will, because of the nonviolent approach. So you were able to probably reach a greater diverse crowd because of the nonviolence, right? And because they wanted to be inclusive and not exclude, because Martin Luther King basically spoke to humanity, which was something that was deep in Negro hearts. It was deep in probably white hearts, right? To be peaceful and get along, right? And then you have the Nation of Islam, which basically speaks to the betterment of the Black man, to have knowledge of self, to know who we are. And that's the thing. Africans came to the United States. They had more American kids in the United States, and we lost our names, we lost our religion. So all of this was happening at the same time, right? At the same time, and here we are moving. Martin Luther King was killed, Malcolm X was killed, Minister Farrakhan is still alive. So out of all of those, let's just say, movements, the Nation of Islam is standing still, strong, right? Much respect. The Black Panther movement is still moving. Civil rights movement, I don't even know. We still have Al Sharpton around. Respect to all of those leaders. So today, it's been, okay, so let's just say from the Nation of Islam standing strong, civil rights really not in existence, but yes, it does exist, but I don't know where that exists as far as how Black people align with it today. And then we have the Panther Party, which is the same thing with the civil rights movement. Now we have Black Lives Matter. So there's a disconnect also with the Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, because people try to figure out, well, what is it all about? What is it all about, Antifa? I think we need Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter has taken a great step to understand some of the ills that are still keeping the minority, the African American, the Black, the Negro, still holding some of us in bondage by law, holding us in bondage by equal opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So it's speaking to a nation that, and because of social media, everything is like heightened to the 13th power, because a hashtag will travel globally today. Hashtags is how we can unite globally. So because of where we're at in 2020, because of social media, Black Lives Matter is making a massive movement that these our historic movements could never make.
Right. And I think the other thing that Black Lives Matter addresses, at least for me in my interpretation, is a very holistic view of my Black life mattering, my education, my health, my finances, like on a holistic level, my Black life matters. I don't want to just exist in America. I want to be able to thrive in America and have the same privileges that everybody else has. I want to be able to own a home and not be discriminated against. I want to be able to go and get a small business loan for my company and not be looked down upon.
Right. Well, yeah. You know, when I threw the question out to the Black Lives Matter, yes, we matter. We made contributions to this country. The group and the organization, they have made contributions that are important because it's taking a generation that is very educated, and you're building a bridge between those that were part of another era that are also helping along with the fight, because our generation, millennials, and now Generation Z, it's important for us to continue to keep fighting that fight, because we're the voice of the people. We're the ones that are the contributors to what's going on in this country. And we have to be very mindful that when we say Black Lives Matter, they do. And the reason why we're saying that is because for years, we've been fighting. But what was the whole focus? The whole focus was to eradicate capitalism. It was to eradicate inequalities when it comes to us buying homes. It was to eradicate the fact that we have fought for this country in various wars, and we're still treated unfairly. It's also about continuing to be those in the community that are pillars in the community and fight for the injustice that's going on in our community, to build those leaders in there. And I think that I was able to receive more knowledge about what their movement is about, because they're also about breaking the establishment that causes us to be in the position that we're in. And I feel like you're going to see more opportunities of doors being knocked down to where other individuals are going to step up. When you mention, you know, the Nation of Islam and, you know, what they mean, you know, it is a religious organization, but they still matter to the cause, because I feel like this is a moment for all Black groups of all factions to come together and really push what needs to be pushed. And it's all about breaking down those doors and the things that have caused us to be in the position that we've been in for many years in this country. And I'm glad that, you know, organizations are taking notice. You know, Nike has now realized that they want to take Juneteenth and celebrate that and give people time off. You're seeing the NFL now, who's received a lot of criticism, not, you know, with Colin Kaepernick, but also with other things that have been going on with the organization. They have lack of Black GMs and lack of Black owners. So they're now realizing the error of their way. So the world is on notice. I feel like Black Lives Matter is more than an organization. It's a movement. It is something that is being flashed into the atmosphere to say, you know what, we've done wrong, and it's now time. And I feel like there's going to be more things that are going to help our community to where our children are going to benefit from. And I'm glad that I'm in a position, Antonio, you in a position, Shar, you in a position to where we can also continue to contribute and by any means necessary to what is needed to make sure that our lives matter, and to make sure that people that look like us, that their lives matter as well. And I'm going to be continuing to fighting from any angle that I can. I feel like this platform is the best way to continue to keep that pushing. So, you know, do we want to talk about more about what's going on, you know, with the recent individuals in our community that are no longer with us? You know, do we want to discuss, you know, more about that?
I mean, I think we would be remiss not to. I think that, you know, in full transparency to our viewers and our listeners, our first episode was supposed to be about Black excellence, but because of everything that's going on right now, we wanted to hone in on what's really sensitive and near and dear to our hearts right now. So, you know, yeah, like without them, we wouldn't even have this topic. I don't know how far, how deep we want to go into it.
Well, first off, you know, George Floyd, that murder has changed the world again.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, at this point, Black Lives Matter. I mean, it's something that has been needed overall, but this is why their platform is so important, because now people are taking a different light. But why does somebody have to die before somebody wants to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter?
Right. I think what it highlights is how inhumane some white Americans view Black lives. Like, they don't see us as humans at all. Like, some treat their pets better than they would ever treat a Black American. And I think that's the most halting issue.
No, that's
is
very true. That's
the
very
heart posture of racist white Americans. That you don't even see us as human beings.
Wow. Yeah. No.
I'll even
You hit it on the money. Well, here's the thing. This country was founded upon that. We were never looked at. We were looked at as 3/5 of a man. We were looked at as property. And you can say to an extent that that's still going on today. There's still a slave mentality that goes on in with athletes and with entertainers. And then when you mention dogs, it's amazing to me, because the first thing that came to my mind is me being a dog owner and how I can walk out of my building and they'll get googly eyed when they see my dog, and that, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, the dog. And the same thing is applicable to when Michael Vick was mistreated and by the law system. And it was amazing to me because it was extremely contradictory of the system failing. And here this man was at the height of his career, multimillionaire, endorsements. He was a leader of my team that I root for, the Atlanta Falcons. And I watched him from college come into the professional that he was in. But it's just amazing to me how they pick and choose. And I mean the white counterparts, how they choose what they think is right and what they think is wrong. And like I mentioned, it's a snowball effect. It's generational racism that has been going on in this country. We live in a society that is built off of patriotism. And that patriotism is a whitewashing that has been going on in America for hundreds and hundreds of years. And we are now seeing the error of what that was founded upon. So when we mention say their names, we want to say their names. We want to say the names of Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Philando Castile, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and then more recently, George Floyd, and the young brother who was found in Palmdale just recently, and I just hope and pray that there's laws that are being created. There was a Breonna Taylor law that was created in Louisville that is going to focus on things. There's also the Eric Garner, the police tactics of how they maintain policing in their community, using certain types of restraint, chokeholds, are putting knees on necks. They're passing laws to do that. Do we feel that defunding the police, though, is the answer to stop what's going on in our communities?
No, it's not. We can't. I mean, I don't know what defunding breaks down to, but if that means remove the police from the community, no, who you gonna call when somebody breaking your house? Who you gonna call?
Well, here's the thing.
Would you, as a Black man, feel comfortable? I don't even feel comfortable calling the police if somebody was to break in my house. I don't know if they're gonna come to my house and see me as a Black woman and shoot me in my own house. Like,
well, here's the thing. When they mention that when they mention that they're gonna defund the police, though, I believe that they're also looking at using those resources to build a community, but you can still have sheriffs in the community if needed. Because I know where I grew up at, we had sheriffs in our community. We didn't have a police department.
The sheriffs are
but no, I'm not saying they're no better, but I'm just saying that what you're doing by defunding the police, you're now saying we're going to have programs in place to where we can build our communities. And I'm hoping that that's what they're doing. Take those funds and build the school systems, because that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on not just the police officers. We want to focus on the systematic racism that's going on in this country. We want to focus on the things that's been holding us behind for many years. So if we're defunding the police, that just like Mayor Garcetti's doing in LA, are you going to take those resources and contribute them to the public school system? Given that there's a pandemic, there have been a lot of students who come from low socioeconomic backgrounds who are not able to have the same resources that their counterparts have that live in affluent middle-class neighborhoods. So are we taking those resources and putting them in the place that they need to go? Because it really happens, the focus needs to happen on the public school system. It needs to happen on better facilities. It needs to happen on homelessness in this country that affects not just Black people, but all humans. It's a human rights issue. So I think we need to take that into consideration to say, okay, we're going to do this because obviously you're not doing it right. You haven't been doing it right. And we got to remember, to be a police officer doesn't take a lot to be a police officer. You don't have to have a college degree. Yeah, you don't have to have a college degree. It's not like going into the FBI, the CIA. You don't have to have a college degree. You can be a dropout in high school, or you can have a high school diploma. You have to go through an academy. It only takes a few months. You take a test, and you're putting young men out there on the street who psychologically are washed in the way to where their badge gives them the authority to do whatever they feel like they want to do to you, no matter what. Yeah. And I grew up in a household where I have appreciation for police officers. My uncle, former detective for LAPD, and he shared many stories with me about what goes on in police departments. And to kind of give context of what Brother Dave Chappelle talked about yesterday in his stand-up, 8 minutes and 40 seconds, I really want to say it was a stand-up. It was more of just a town hall. It was more of just, listen, this is what's going on, and this is why the people are upset. And me, Dave Chappelle, I had the platform to do that. And he mentioned it, that his focus was, we have to realize, what's going on in this country. And I appreciated the fact that he had the platform to do so yesterday. But yeah, what do you guys feel about that?
So, okay, I just want one more point with this defunding. So CNN reported that in 2017, which was a focus for several weeks, that the NYPD purposely pulled back on proactive policing and found that there were 2,100 fewer crime complaints during that time. So this is what we're looking at for defunding the police, perhaps.
So here's the thing. I'm trying to be very careful with what I say because I work for the local government.
Right.
And I work in a city where crime is prevalent.
Right.
I'll plead the fifth. I can't say what I want to say at liberty, so I'm just going to plead the fifth.
Here's the thing. I think that if the plan of action is going to continue to happen, and this is going to be a domino effect that's going to happen in our communities, my hope is that we focus on rebuilding, and we focus on putting leaders in place that are going to help with the community. So if you're voting for your mayor, your congressperson, those that are leaders in your community, that's where the real focus needs to be on, is building those communities. I just feel like whatever actions are going to take place, they need to be proactive and not retroactive. Mm-hmm. And obviously, they haven't got it right for all this time in our community. And I'm not saying all police officers are bad. Like I said, My uncle was a police officer. But when I was thinking about what Dave Chappelle, he talked about Christopher Donner in his manifesto and what took place with him. And I remember that like it was yesterday. And what he was taking action on was the corruption that goes on in the police department. Being a former police officer and also being former military, he took action. And, you know, do I agree with what he did? You know, no, I don't. But I understand why he made a point to expose what was going on. And this country was founded upon corruption. And the corruption comes from all angles. Mm-hmm. It's the media. It's the things that we see. It's the things that we hear. And I feel like our focus now needs to be on how we can change and get rid of the things that control us. And that's the reason why I appreciate what Killer Mike, you know, kill your masters, kill the things that control you. And that's the focus.
So killing things that control you, can Black people kill racism?
That's not our job, because we
That's not our job anymore.
It's not our job. It's not our job to come up with solutions with our white counterparts who ask us, well, how can we end it? How can we make you feel comfortable? That is not our job. Y'all, that's a multi-layer generational dysfunction that y'all have, that y'all need to figure out.
And have benefited from. And we got to remember, our cause in civil rights, white women have benefited from. So they need to be the biggest allies for our cause.
And I'm just having a conversation. I'm so done having a conversation.
I don't need that conversation. Now you can check on me and see how I'm doing. I'm gonna tell you how I'm doing, and I'm gonna give you the real. And I've been giving that to people, but I'm gonna tell you this: that you're seeing it happen, where people are demonstrating hatred in this country. They're demonstrating the racism that has been going on in this country for hundreds of years, and they're being fired from their jobs. They're being fired from their corporations, from top positions, because it's being exposed now. You have been exposed. We have phones. We have cameras. We have ways to expose you. Not too far away from where I live at in the same county, a guy took it upon himself to have an assault rifle during a demonstration that was going on and threatened the people. It was on camera. They found out who he was. He's looking at maybe serving years in prison. So you're seeing demonstrations that are happening in communities where we're trying to infiltrate and focus on the cause, the root cause of the issue in this country, and the allies involved are also putting them on notice. And you're seeing it, and I want them to continue to keep doing what they're doing, because enough is enough. And we're also looking at the people that does a cancel culture exist? Yes, it does, because we're canceling the fact that you all have been getting away with so many different things for all these years, and you're now being exposed. And I'm talking to the people also who think that it's okay to commercialize off of what's going on in our communities. That means taking photo ops in front of things that are going on, and you're not contributing to the cause, but you think it's okay to take a photo picture in front of an area that was looted due to the anger of what's going on, and you think it's okay to take a photo and put it on a hashtag on your Instagram or Facebook or your whatever whatever you're doing. Yeah, you're gonna get exposed too. And there's been individuals that have been hit for that. So enough is enough. And I appreciate the fact that we have those allies, but it's not our job to get on those soapbox and tell people, because we've done that before, and when we've done it, those people are no longer with us.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't want your pictures and kente cloths either. Like, you don't patronize our culture and put on a kente cloth and think that that's going to eradicate
all the
Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Yeah, that's not the thing to do. It's not okay to be putting the kente cloth mask and kneel down. Oh, now you want to kneel now. Yeah. Now you think it's okay to kneel. Now you want to kneel. Okay. Yeah. Well, if kneeling is the thing that and also I'm glad that Drew Brees got it together too, thinking that he was Captain America and being Mr. Patriot. Here's the thing. I hope Brother Cap gets a job in the NFL again. I really do. If it's him playing or having a front office job or doing something with the league. But I really would like to see him on the football field because it's taking a stance. You can almost say it's reminiscent to Muhammad Ali when he took his stance to go against the Vietnam War. And I just got finished seeing a great film I recommend y'all see is The Five Bloods, directed by brother Spike Lee. But it sheds light on, and you know, my father, he was 17, 18 years old, and he actually had to take part in the draft lottery. And he tells the story like it was yesterday. He had a lot of brothers that went to that war that, you know, were either affected by or never came back. But he thanks God every day that he wasn't put in that situation to fight that war that we should have never been involved in. And all the Black leaders who spoke out against that war, Dr. King, Malcolm X, and others, and from the Black Panther Party on down, you know, they're no longer with us. And that's really what caused Dr. King to not be here with us anymore, was the fact that he spoke out against that war. And I feel like when you think about that and you put it into context, what Muhammad Ali did at that time, at the height of his career, to speak out against that. Now, granted, he had the Nation of Islam backing him, but I feel like with Kaepernick, when he was talking about police brutality, when he was talking about social inequality going on with Black people, he took a stance. And people got to remember, the kneeling actually came from a former military person. That was him that told him, hey, if you want to contribute to showing solidarity and not being against the flag, kneeling is a gesture. That's how you can do it. But they focused on the other part. The media was focused on a Black man, a Black quarterback, a leader on the team, kneeling and protesting against the flag. It was never a protest against the flag. It was a protest to what's been affecting us for hundreds of years.
But here's the thing,
that was
like,
the whole purpose.
I don't understand how white America wants us to pay homage to a flag that, in a land that we built, in a land that treats us like animals.
Right.
Like,
you almost wanted to say,
how can I in pure conscience pledge allegiance to a flag that doesn't value my Black life, that doesn't want anything that I do to succeed? Like, how?
Well, here's the thing. You just said it. I think the operative word is pledge allegiance. So what am I pledging and what is my allegiance to? My allegiance is not to racism. My allegiance is not to hate. My allegiance is to be an inclusive individual who takes upon inclusiveness, right? But I'm not going to pledge my allegiance to something that has not benefited me and people that look like me. And I think we have to be very mindful of the fact that the principles that this country was founded upon, and it's being exposed right now. It really is. And like I said, it's mind-boggling to me. And this president is being canceled from the time that he got into the White House, okay? But the fact that he's putting himself in a position to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, almost 100 years from the 1921 massacre that happened to Black people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, then you decide to do it. You were going to do it on the 19th, which is Juneteenth, when we received our freedom in this country as being slaves and building this country. You decide that you're going to do it the day after. You're canceled still, and I hope that there's going to be demonstrations against him being there in that city on next Saturday, because in my opinion, and he made a mockery out of it. My Black friends and my African American friends and leaders reached out to me. Oh, they did. Well, who are they? Because they canceled
Kanye
too.
West, Kanye,
Candace Owens, you know,
Ben Carson.
Yeah. Oh,
the people that the Black people I know don't even respect, kind of like appreciate.
Well, they're house Negroes still, and they're surrogate Negroes, and those are the Negroes that Malcolm X exposed back in the day when he was, you know, being the spokesperson for our people. And those people still exist. Those people still exist, and I'm thankful that I have parents, primarily my father, that raised me to be aware of those type of things Because those are the most dangerous things, I think, to our community, is having those surrogate Black people that think it's okay to use their platform and to think it's okay to say they are aligning themselves and to an allegiance of things that have hurt us for all these years. And it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. A lot of my friends who are not Black have also expressed their anger at what's taking place. And, you know, it's amazing to me how people that are on that side, on the right, how they say that none of this doesn't exist, and how the country was at a different place when President Obama was in office. Oh, is that right? Okay. And like T.I. confronted Candace Owens, when was America ever great again for Black people?
Yeah, never. So in, in 2004, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals held that students are also not required to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So when Kaepernick didn't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, it was already a court of appeals that made it okay not to stand. But a lot of people don't know, because we don't really tap into history like that. But
well, they don't, and they focus, and the media had a good, and the media was the ones that were involved on that too, though. And Antonio, that was the issue, was that him being on the spotlight, being a football player on one of the most recognized teams, the San Francisco 49ers at the time, people were watching, people were on notice. And it's amazing to us how when we do things that are created by the system, we're anti-American.
Yeah.
But when our counterparts do it, oh, he's using his rights. He's using his freedom of speech. He's using this and doing that. But we can't do that. It's so if I walk outside, I can benefit from the same things and use my freedom of speech and use what this country was founded upon. But they know how to spin it really well. So if a football player like Drew Brees can speak out against, I will never stand with someone who's against our flag. But if LeBron James speaks on what's going on in this country still to Black people, you want to tell him to shut up and dribble. You want him to continue to entertain and be that shucking and jiving, putting on a show for you type of Black person. So no, he's not going to do that. And if you are a Black person, take away your fanatic sense and appreciate the fact that this Black man has a Black wife and a Black family and is using his platform to help people like you and I. I'm all about that. So you can never cancel LeBron James.
Black Americans are the world's greatest influencers.
Period.
Oh my gosh, yes. And they listen, and I think that's the issue that I have the most, is that they take our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. You know what I mean? Like, you want to appropriate us.
Say it again.
They take our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
That's real talk.
You know what I mean? Like, even the women who prefer to date Black men are my non-Black counterparts. I really pray that they are standing in a real alliance right about now.
Well, yeah. And I think you can also say, with the same lines of cancel culture, you can also say a cultural appropriation, right?
Yeah.
But we got to cancel that too, because when you mention non-members, is what I call them, who marry are men who marry Black men who marry other ethnicities. I think it's very important to understand what you are going to be involved in, okay? And it's important to be mindful of our contributions in our culture, and that it's not okay to think that you can just say whatever you want to say or make inappropriate comments, or to wear specific hairstyles, or think it's okay to do the things that you're doing. You don't have to you don't have to force being on our side.
Right.
You don't have to do that. There's other ways that you can be allies, and we don't need you to force it in a manner like that. But yeah, I agree. I think that it cracks me up when I see. I had nothing against interracial marriages, and I know that what's the couple, the Loving couple, Loving 1953, interracial marriage couple, Loving, back in 1953. There was you guys can Google that, but it was there was a time in this country that it was illegal to marry outside of your race as a Black person. So I think that you can. Here's my thing. I don't have an issue with interracial relationships, interracial marriages, as long as you are aware of the skin that you're in. Your partner is aware, and you guys are fighting that fight together. I think those are the allies that we need as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just
I believe love is love. My only issue are the Black people who date outside their race as a symptom of self-hate. That's what I have an issue with, because Black men especially, when you prefer white women over Black women, like, what does that say about your relationship with your mom? But that's a whole other separate issue. We don't have to go there on this episode today. I ain't gonna push it. I'm not gonna push it. Antonio.
Yeah, I mean,
segue me out of this.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle was in an interracial relationship, and he always riding for Black people. So
for sure,
and he keep it 100. That's what like I said. We all grew up around different. I'm all about that. And my friends, I have a lot of friends who are not Black. So, but they know and they understand. And I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I mean, we're in line with the awareness, bringing more awareness to Black Lives Matter, bringing more awareness to our stance in America as Black people. This is a constant job that we have as Black people. It's a constant task as a Black American, as a Negro, to either do it in silence or do it in action. You know what I'm saying? But every day you walk, you drive, you go anywhere, you're an example of Black excellence. You're an example of a Black Negro in America. You are the example of change. You are the example of history. Like, you create the history. You create the peace. If there's peace, there's war to be had. We all possess the power to make that initiation for change. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. And real quick, I just want to say that the married couple I was talking about is the Loving versus Virginia case. And it was an interracial marriage that took place in 1953. But I just wanted to throw that out there. But no, I think that it's important to realize where do we go from here? What's next for Black people? What's next for us? Coming out of this pandemic, what's next for us?
I think we gotta heal. We gotta heal and we gotta rebuild. We gotta rebuild Black Wall Street 2.0, make them so mad that they destroyed it the first time around. We gotta really start investing our dollars within our community. And we gotta focus on squashing all of our internal beefs and really love on one another. Y'all know, the viewers don't know, but love is always my answer and always my solution. And I feel like we got to combat this with love for one another, love for even the people who don't always look like us,
right?
Or believe in the things that we believe. But
that's true. And in love, we have a healing aspect that takes place. And so we are forever healing. We are forever working towards removing, not necessarily because this is the big thing that has come up. Slavery happened over so many hundred years ago. Why are you guys still mad? And when I hear that tone, is it, first of all, if you're not a Negro, if you're not a Black person, you can never speak to why someone hasn't healed from the Black experience. Like, and because the non-Black people really can't get past why we haven't healed, if we haven't healed, I think that's just their intolerance of humanity. You know what I'm saying? Because you really have to have that experience. You have to really know what it's like to be at USC by the old Burger King and some white woman calls you a nigger. Like, you have to have that experience. And this is in Los Angeles at USC happened to me. So it's like no one that is non-Black can ever talk to me about healing from some shit that didn't even happen to me. Like, slavery didn't happen to me.
Right.
But I'm not that far removed from it because that's my people. Even if my grandfather, great grandfather was a slave, not a slave, it don't even matter. The whole fact that people had to pick cotton pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? Because we weren't able to capitalize. We were working, right? We were taking crumbs and making Black Wall Street.
Yes.
We didn't get an advance. We didn't get an advance. We didn't get a reprimand.
And we didn't. And the thing is that the advancement of Black people in this country, there has always been systematic. That's when we mention systematic racism. That's the systematic racism.
Yeah.
It's taking what we've built and tearing it down. Whether it's 1921 in Tulsa, whether it's our organizations that we were using as community organizations to police our own communities, whether it was being the first in line to do certain things to push our people in a certain line. You find ways to stop that. So I think to all of your points, I think the theme is that what's next for us is to have that, to still focus on that community building, to keep things positive, focus on mental awareness, focus on rebuilding our relationships with our Black women and our Black men, focusing on how we can have those allies understand where we're coming from and say, hey, it's on you all to help us get to that place that we need to go to. And I see it. I'm not going to say that I don't see it. I'm not going to say that I'm not blind to it. You're seeing it being played out. You're seeing people being fired from corporations. You're seeing people let go. They're being exposed for things that have been happening in this country for so long to us. And I'm going to repeat that, to us.
Yeah.
It's not happening to no one else in this country. It's happening to us, and it's been happening to us. And the world is on notice. This country's on notice, and I'm going to say it one more time as we get ready to close out, is that we have to vote.
Yes.
We have to vote. We have to vote.
We got to. I have one final point to make about just being Black in America and the disadvantages of being Black in the land of the free. We were brought here. We're descendants of slaves. Black people were brought here to be slaves in America. There are illegal immigrants in this country that have more liberties than Black Americans. But you want me to pledge allegiance to the flag?
Speak.
In full consciousness?
I
didn't ask to be here. I did not ask to be here.
And then be told that, well, it happened hundreds of years ago. Move on. Why are you so upset? Let it go. It's okay. Oh, it is.
How? How?
I think
there's no equality. How do you let it go?
Right. And the thing is that the immigrants are not allowed to pledge allegiance, but they get the benefit. If they get sick, they go to the hospital, they get treated. Where Americans have challenges receiving health care, and they were born.
Yes.
You think about
my God.
Black women, like how many Black women die during childbirth? Like it's just
it's staggering.
The scales are so unbalanced. So why are we mad? Because these things are still happening to us. Our lives are still being threatened daily, be it by the police, be it by each other, because I'm not going to lie and say that black on black crime does not impact me as a black woman. Like, I'm not okay with it at all. I can't even have a baby in peace without worrying about if, you know, I have to advocate for my life and my child's life. It's just not fair. And going back to some white Americans treating their animals better than they treat black people, there's pet hospitals that are in better conditions than some of the hospitals that are in impoverished neighborhoods.
Word, sure. I know some women that treat their men better than they treat their dogs better than they treat their men. Word up.
Well, yeah, no, that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah. Wow.
You threw me off with that one, Antonio.
No, it's real. Some women will treat their dogs better than they treat their men.
Wow. Okay. Right.
Oh.
But I think to what you just said, Shar, I think it's important too, is that when we put things in context, and I agree. I think that we also need to focus on how we treat our own. You know, I don't like, and that was kind of like how I felt about Black Lives Matter when it first established. I think our focus was a lot on police brutality, which is a focus that we need to focus on. Don't get me wrong, but we also need to focus on the incarceration rates in this country for Black people and how it stops them from voting. That's important. I'm going to say it again. The incarceration rates affect Black people from voting. You have a lot of Black people in this country who cannot exercise their right to vote because of incarceration. You also have the fact that killings in the Black community affect women who are bearing children. And there's statistical data that focuses on those neighborhoods like DC, like LA, like Chicago. My God, Chicago. Praying for Chicago. That us killing one another affects children. It affects women who are pregnant. And those children are born into a society that hate for Black is the focus. Hate for Black on Black. Hate for white on Black. It's hate that they're born into. And I think we need to focus on that. So that's just my last.
I have one more last final point on Black crimes. That was not instilled by Black people. That was also the byproduct of racist white Americans pinning us against each other. So that goes back to my original point with intergenerational healing. Like we got to emancipate ourselves from slavery. Like, we got to free our own minds. Quoting Bob Marley, like, come on, y'all. Yeah. Come on, Black people.
The whole deal about how the drugs came to the community basically speaks to why there's Black on Black crime. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no doubt.
It
heightened it.
All of the industries basically moved out of the urban areas. Like, for example, in LA or Los Angeles, the rubber industry moved out of the Alameda corridor. And that, at the time, employed a lot of Black people. Just like in Detroit with the motor industry. And a lot of these companies move out. So when the companies move out of the community, people have less jobs. Yep. Less jobs. Yeah. They start turning into, well, how can I sell this? And starting to eating their own people. And that's kind of what happened. Gangs, actual Crips and Bloods were a community outreach in right? Or let's just say a community organization. And because of like politics, perhaps, they started eating each other alive. And it still exists today. I mean, and what I mean by eating each other alive is killing each other over nonsense.
Right. And then to your point too, though, Antonio, is that the communities are now being gentrified, and that's a bigger issue. So that's another thing to align with what's going on in our communities. And I hope
We
and
might
pray
have to have
that.
we might need
Here's the
need to
thing.
have like a Black Lives Matter part 2.
I just hope and pray that the defunding of the police, that I feel, and this is another part of it, it could allow gentrification to happen in those communities because there's no policing needed. Are you gonna, what does that do? Does it allow gentrification to continue to flourish in these neighborhoods, or does it allow it to flourish in the direction where it's helping the neighborhoods? So it's kind of two sides of the coin there on how we have to look at that. So I'm hoping and praying that it doesn't turn into that defunding the police in these neighborhoods and in these cities, major cities, that it does create the gentrification that we're seeing in certain pockets of America. So that's another thing to add. But I agree, we can incorporate a part 2 series of this. It can almost be like Hidden Colors.
Right.
Straight up.
All right.
But yeah,
Any
that's the Convo Lounge, though.
Yes. Any last and final thoughts, y'all, before we head out?
Well, I just want to say stay strong, keep the faith, and keep educating yourselves, and love and peace.
Yes, I want to advocate for mental wellness, and your mental health, your state of mind. Peace of mind is paramount, y'all. This is a great time to unplug. You don't need all the information. You have it. We know what's going on out there. Please log off of social media. Please power down your phone. Make sure you're being active. Listen to good music that brings along good vibration. Take a nap. Have sex. Pray, meditate, do whatever you need to do to relieve stress and make sure that you leave this pandemic and everything that else is going on in the world mentally strong.
Amen to that. And I think that to the lines of what both of y'all are saying is we got to continue to keep the peace. We got to enjoy the benefits of life that we have as humans, as people in these walking in these bodies that we've been blessed with. And we also need to focus on how we can do better. We need to focus on building a sense of community. We need to focus on how we treat one another. Keep that love going. We got to flourish out of this. And I feel that this is a wake-up call that has happened in this country. And I'm glad that we were able to have this platform to take time aside to focus on what is the most important thing going on in this country. And I couldn't ask for a better time to do so with the 2 individuals that I have right now. And I'm looking forward to what's next.
Awesome. Y'all, let's tell the people where they can find us.
You can find us on YouTube at the Convo Lounge. You can find us on Instagram at the Convo Lounge. And you can also hear us on our podcast on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts as well.
How about where to find you guys individually?
The Prosperous One.
Antonio Clothing.
I am Shar.Rochelle on Instagram. And you can follow my business at Shar's Cookie Jar.
The bomb cookies.
Those some bomb cookies. I haven't had it yet, but you gotta send me some.
Thank you. I will. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate y'all. Peace, love, light, and blessings to everybody.
Oh yeah, we forgot to cover what Amir is reading right now. Amir, what you reading right now?
So it's a little, as you can see, I'm wearing the Black Panther shirt. Afrofuturism, all about that. And I'm basically reading the graphic novel of the Black Panther written by the great Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh,
Shout out to Ta-Nehisi Coates, my brother.
Nice.
Yes, sir. A Nation Under Our Feet.
Oh, that's dope.
How about that for context? All right.
All right, y'all.
And you can find me at Antonio Crow Clothing on Instagram.
No doubt.